Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello! How's it going? My scraps are a little messy here. Hi, Malin. How's it going? I'll wait for a few of you to get in here. I'm really, really excited about this project this week. Probably far more than any of you. And let me know if everything looks and sounds okay. Hi, Carrie. How's it going? So I think all of us have scraps. And I think there's a lot of people who are just like, whatever, I'm just going to throw them away. That's, that's how it goes. Hi, Aisha. And I think if you're a casual sewist and you have scraps from the occasional project, I think that it's far more manageable. But for me, I generate a lot of scraps, and I have for a really long time. I've worked on thousands and thousands of projects for clients, for me, as an employed, pattern drafter and designer. So I've done production sewing. I had my own factory and product line. Like, trust me, when I tell you the amount of scraps, like people would say, just sew them in a quilt. Literally, I could quilt the world with the amount of scraps we had. Hi, Movern. How's it going? Welcome. Hi, Libby. I know, right? So, this was really starting to bug me way even before chicken boots really took off. Like, it was starting to take off and I was still back in northern coastal California. And I had like a 400 square foot studio, and it was just me sewing well, actually, I take that back. There was a local factory starting to help me a tiny bit, but pretty much I was sewing all of it and cutting all of it. And even if you're not environmentally minded, which I don't understand how we can't be right now, like the amount of stuff that we just toss away without thinking is pretty astounding, right? So I kept thinking, like, how could I use these scraps? Like, what could I do with them? Like, I don't quilt. I don't have the time for that. I don't even know enough quilters to give this stuff to. And why should quilters bear the brunt of all of our scraps, So I started thinking, well, what if I used them as mulch in my garden, just like sprinkle them around the plants and stuff, because where I lived, it rained a lot and there were weeds coming out of our ears constantly. Like, it's one of the rare places you can live in California where you don't need a sprinkler system. In fact, I remember when my dad visited once, the first time he visited, maybe it wasn't the first time he visited me, my parents visiting me. I think maybe it was when they visited me and we owned our first home. And he said, I don't understand. How come nobody has a sprinkler system? It was summer when they were visiting. And I said, we don't really need that. It's only in the summer months we really don't get a lot of rain. And so in that area, our lawns are kind of yellow in the summer months and green the rest of the year. Whereas here they're green all year round and maybe, a little yellower in the winter. It's kind of the opposite. So, wow, Kathleen, how's it going? Hi, Emily, how's it going? So I started thinking like, well, I'm sick of weeding. I have a lot of had a lot of chickens at the time, and just sprinkling them on the yard. Because you know what? I'll be honest with you. Where I used to live, being eccentric wasn't a big deal. Like, you could be kind of a weirdo, and that wasn't a weirdo there. You could stand out, and you wouldn't stand out. Like, we were all kind of marching to the beat of our own drum, and it was cool. Here, I'm a weirdo, all right? I'll just say it straight up. I'm the weirdo. I'm the eccentric one. I was always the weird mom in the group. I didn't play the games. I didn't dress like them. I don't dye my hair. I don't wear hardly any makeup. I don't do all those things, right? And I don't have any problem with people doing those things. But people have problems with me not doing those things. And, when you stick out like a sore thumb, you become acutely aware and then you just don't care eventually. Well, back in the, okay, cool, Kathleen. Back there, I thought I could just sprinkle these fabric scraps all over my yard and no one would think anything of it. You'd really have to do something kind of out there for people to go, what's going on over there at the Duffy's house, So, but the problem was I had chickens, and the chickens, I don't know if you've ever had them before, but they are the most meddlesome creatures ever, and they think everything is their business. So I couldn't have just done that. They would have just scratched them immediately. They would have loved it. They would have spread them all over the yard, and it got windy there, and the wind, it would have been blowing all over the yard. It would have been a mess. So that was like 14 years ago, 12 years ago. So I've been percolating on this idea for a long time. And I feel like I finally figured out a way to do what I want to do with fabric scraps, and then they won't go to a landfill. So I've been thinking about this, and I really want to hear other people's thoughts about it. And I know I'm making mulch mats, right? That's what I'm calling them, mulch mats. So I'm going to make basically rudimentary quilts with cheesecloth. And now I'm kind of rethinking cheesecloth. I'm going to be really transparent because this is my first time doing this. Hi, Hannah, how's it going? So the cheesecloth, the reasoning behind that was, my idea was if I use natural fiber scraps, they will in time break down in the environment, right? And the cheesecloth, since that is also a natural fiber, will break down and it'll be fine, right? And then maybe you add another mulch mat on top, or you mulch it with something else, or, like, these don't even have to show in your yard. You could lay them down and then mulch it with something on top that's prettier, right? But then I started thinking about, like, well, why? Why does it have to be natural fiber? Like, I'm not going to kid myself into thinking that these are actually going to break down in my lifetime. Like, let's be honest. Even like this like canvas here, come on. Like, it's going to take a bit, right? It's going to take a minute. Hi, Lynn. How's it going? So I think I'll still stick to natural fibers because I want to stay in the spirit of this experiment that I'm doing. And I've thought about things like, well, what about the fabric finishes? Are those going to hurt the environment? The dyes, like, what would someone on the extreme end of environmentalism come at me for on this idea? This is kind of where I go. I always go extreme, and I go the other extreme, and then I kind of find the happy medium. So that's why I would love to hear other people's input on this. So this is what I've come to think of when I think of those potential issues. First of all, we wear these clothes on our body 24/7, and we're not worried about them then, right? We're not worried about whatever's coming off the fabrics on us. Almost all my fabrics have been pre-washed at least once if they've gotten into this bin, They haven't been washed as much as my clothes, obviously, right? But they have been washed a lot. We've also washed them in the washing machine and the dryer and that water and all that. That's going somewhere too, okay? So what are we really worried about? Like, do we really think that this is going to hurt our ground? You know what I mean? Like, I really want to think about this. Like, what am I not thinking of, and how thick do they need to be? So the cheesecloth, I'm already a little concerned about sewing it. I'm not gonna even hide it. Like, I sat there, and by the way, buying cheesecloth is complicated. Hi, Betsy, how's it going? Oh, awesome. Yeah, your chickens would love these. Hey, Megan. So I think, like, okay, so, and here's the other thing is, like, if you're somewhat new to dealing with your scraps, I think there's a lot of really great projects you can do to utilize them, like dog beds and the floor poof, and sewing them into different projects. But you guys, I generate a tub like this. We'll do the carbon dating of this tub, but I can already tell that this is right down here at the bottom. They're right there. That's the 1940s dress we sewed for Hearts Fabric, the Decades of Style. That was this year. And this is not the only tub I have generated, right? Oh, hi, Barbara. That's nice, Carrie. You're getting some rain. It's kind of a mess here, I won't lie. We're actually lucky we're streaming. We were supposed to have a planned power outage today, and then they canceled it. I don't know. And it's orange outside. I can't even take pictures for you guys because it's orange everywhere. So when I just recently did those bags for Sincere Sheep, I saved these scraps. And then, you know what? Now I'm kind of like, I'm sticking these in my mulch mats. Like, these will be really great for keeping weeds down. So I live in an area that is extremely drought tolerant, or drought prone, and I think that this is going to be a really great way to keep the moisture in the ground. And here's a couple of pictures of my yard. So this right here, the left-hand picture, is these grapes we have. And it's actually quite long. It's weird that it looks like just one grape bush. The bush behind it is a mandarin tree. It's not actually a bush at all. So these grapes start and actually go off to the right in the really long row. And my husband pruned them hard last year, and this is all new growth. And he said, you can make mulch mats around the perimeter bottom of the grapes. So I think that that's one thing I'm going to do. But you see my little brand new little butterfly bush here. I mulched it with grass the other day. It is planted in an area where we don't have grass, because there's a lot of like dry areas in our yard where we have like agave and things like that. And our soil is filled with clay. Like it's like you need a pickaxe to plant in our yard. I know you see these really lush, beautiful pictures of our front yard, and that's kind of a very centralized area where our house kind of surrounds, and our pond and that little bridge, the bridge that goes over kind of a dry creek, and it kind of springs up there's a spring behind our house in the field, and that sometimes rises and falls and things, and then that little dry creek will fill. And we do have true creeks on our property too. So there's a lot of water on our property, but it's still very dry. And if you saw behind our house, it looks like, if you type in Google, what did I type in the other day? Drought. If you type in drought, you will see pictures of cracked earth. That is literally what my back behind my house looks like, because it's clay. It's so, when it dries out, in the winter it's fine, it's not cracked at all, and in the summer it cracks, and that's clay. It doesn't mean that it's actually barren. It's just that there's not a lot you can do with that without amending it. So let me read chat here. Yeah, Libby, it's kind of bad here today too. Yeah, hopefully, Carrie. Yeah, so if you do a dog bed, Carrie, my tips are, it can get really heavy using your scraps, and I recommend also on the top of it where the dog is going to lay, put something soft down. The scraps are really lumpy and hard. No matter how you arrange them, you'd really have to have them in fine little pieces in order for them to be fluffy and soft. And then even then they get compacted and kind of dense, and it's kind of uncomfortable. So I've used like old robes that got, like one got cat pee on it, and I cut that off. I washed it with this special formula, and then I just finally just used it in like dog beds and things like that once it like lost all that. Or old like scraps of batting and things like that. So, okay, wait. There are some studies in ResearchGate about detecting dyes from fabric in landfill after soil degradation. So, detecting reactive dyes. And so what was this study, what was the aim of this study? Are they trying to detect things? Yeah, Carrie. You can do the bottom part, because at least the bed feels really solid, but definitely put something soft on the top. Yeah, so I'm really interested in that, Hannah. I'll check that out. Yeah, okay. That's great. That's great. Yeah, and I'm wondering, because none of this was naturally dyed, and even those, you use some pretty interesting things to set them. You made a yoga bolster with, oh, is a yoga bolster like a yoga mat? It was heavy. Yeah, I'm not surprised. All right, well, so here's my little tub. I feel like this isn't going to go very far, honestly, but I think I'll at least get the one around my butterfly bush because my husband's watering that every day, so I think it's going to be the perfect test. And I think you can do this however size you want. And so my idea I'm going to make probably 2 if I have enough scraps. I'm really excited to have scraps for the first time ever. So I'm going to make a Christmas tree skirt for my little butterfly bush, right? So basically this is my idea, and then I'm going to section it off. This is it. I'm not doing anything that's rocket science. I've just had this idea. I'm going to section it off. I'm probably going to sew, I think I'm going to sew the perimeter here, and I'm going to leave openings in these little sections, stuff them, and then edge stitch it shut. Oh, right. That is a great idea. That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah, Betsy, that's such a good point. A handle is a really good idea. We have, if you ever see, I did the Closet Core floor proof, which is a free pattern, and I've modified that into quite a few dog beds, cat beds, and I have this one floor proof that's actually pretty magnificent because I use rainbow, and so all the wedges on the top are rainbow, and then the perimeter is rainbow, and it's really, really quite like eye-catching. And we put that by our couch, and really our dogs use it as a step stool. It's actually a really handy step stool because it's so heavy with fabric scraps. But if you want to move it, you'll break a nail. Like if you grab the lip of it, like when you're grabbing the lip, you'll snap. So you got to be really careful. It's really heavy. That's awesome. Yeah, I've used that pattern a lot. I think it's great. I've made oval dog beds. I've taken out all the pie slices, and I made that cat one, which is just really adorable. As an invasive, that's so interesting, Margaret. So, my last house, we only planted California natives. Beautiful front yard. I loved it. And this little butterfly bush is innate as a invasive. Are you sure? They don't invade. They don't seed. They don't do anything. That's interesting. I wonder what they classify as an invasive if it's not always just plants, because I stay away from like English ivy or pampas grass. That stuff should be illegal. They shouldn't even sell that. You're a powerlifter and you're just grabbing, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, so I'm not too worried about this butterfly bush. I'm really just trying to add to the, because we have a lot of pollinators in our yard, and because our house is kind of a haven for a lot of the wildlife, because all the other houses down our street are, their yards are really like, they're like classic California dry land. So in their own way, they have the really great beauty, but they're basically lava rock. Like there's like lava rock, a volcanic rock scattered through their yards. They can't even mow. It's just dry grass. There's no grass in their yards or anything. Yeah, I don't have the older varieties are invasive. Oh, okay. Yeah, my problem is with that. That's one of the reasons Hannah and I stopped working out too. And my downstairs neighbors live with me. Okay, so thank you for telling me that, Margaret, though. I mean, my yard is, in my opinion, a hot mess of plant diversity. I gravitate more towards the natives, and I usually only buy natives unless they're somewhat drought tolerant and companionable to things. Well, she said that was the California thing, but the other thing I want to say, just because we're kind of on this topic of drought tolerance and things like that, is if you're actually planting drought tolerant plants and you live in a fire prone area, make sure that it's also fire retardant, because a lot of drought tolerant plants are highly flammable. So make sure if you're in one of those areas to check that out first. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have never seen a butterfly bush volunteer. You must live in a pretty established neighborhood, probably with older ones. Because I've had them quite a few over the years. All right, so I'm going to get going. Like, I'm going to first make what amounts to be a Christmas tree skirt. So one thing I learned about shopping for cheesecloth is that there's a really big world of cheesecloth out there, and you buy it in a really strange way. So I did not go whole hog. I am like, Sarah, you always overdo it on some of these projects. Do not buy the box. So here's the deal with cheesecloth. If you're a cheesemaker, you probably know all about this, and I would love to understand this a little bit better. I am not a cheesemaker. This is not one thing. That is one hobby I'm just not interested. Thank goodness, because I have too many interests. But when you go to buy a cheesecloth, it comes in basically 4 different grades. And the higher the number, the better the grade, in their opinion, for probably cheese making. Hi, Martina. How's it going? So there's grade 10, which is the most open weave of all of them. You know, you're looking at a very thready version. You've probably seen this stuff. You can't even imagine dealing with it. Bugs would fly right through it, right? Then there's grade 40 and grade 50. I don't know why it jumps that much, and I don't know why those 2 grades are right next to each other. It is very hard to tell the difference, and there is a very specific system on what classifies each grade, so you can find out how many threads per inch or whatever it is. I don't really care about that. And then there's grade 90. So what I was looking for was something that was going to hold up for a bit, but not last forever, right? I also wanted it to be porous so that when I watered my plant, just in case I have to water through the mulch mat, the water is actually going to get to my plant. I've revised my thinking of this. I don't think that's possible. When I have actual mulch, like I've used shredded bark as a mulch. I don't use that here because it's not a native plant. But you know, back in Humboldt County, we had a lot of redwoods. There's a lot of redwood bark. We also called it orangutan hair. And that was like the primary mulch you would use is redwood bark, right? The shredded redwood. And there's also pine. So I like that stuff. It's really easy. It's really affordable. If you live there, it probably isn't here. And it would look so out of place in my dry landscape here. And I've been thinking about the flammability of certain mulches as well. So, hi Terry, how's it going? So that's another thing that's on my mind, and that might not be like, I know I live in a very specific type of climate. So do I think these are probably going to be flammable? Yeah, I do. But I like I said, you know, I'm not like putting these up against my house either. You know, I'm putting these around these plants that I'm trying to get established and have more greenery in my yard. So without using up all of the water in our well. So when you're going to buy the cheesecloth, you can buy it in 10-yard pieces, 70-yard pieces, and 100-yard pieces. Like, it is a crazy array. This particular one, I bought 2 10-yard pieces. It is much cheaper if you buy one of those big chunks, like 70 or 100 yards, and it comes in a box. So this is how mine came. It came hermetically sealed. I was not thrilled with this because it's in this single-use plastic, and that is definitely something that irks the heck out of me. And when I opened it, it just kind of gently fluffed up, and it's in a nice little tidy folded pile. It said it was 36 inches wide. It is not 36 inches wide. It is not 36 inches wide by a long shot. So I ended up pulling it apart this morning to see what was I dealing with. And let me tell you, they put that in there. They folded that as if not a sewist was opening it, because it was a nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare. It was very counterintuitive. So this piece of cheesecloth is actually on the fold. So you know how you always see me pull fabric off here and it's folded, and when I go to cut a project out, that is exactly how I have this folded. So it's quite wide. I'd say this is easily 60 inches wide, if not wider, because I don't have it stretched flat. So this kind of changes how I was thinking about this, because I was like, ooh, 36 inches wide, that would be kind of perfect if I wanted a really wide mat somewhere, because it's not 44 inches, you know. And, you know, now I'm like, okay, well, maybe in half, you know, I could get that kind of, that's a nice width. This would be great for the grapes. We have a small orchard as well, and it's kind of a stark difference, because here's our house, here's our front yard, lush green, lots of trees, birds, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds galore. Just on the other side of this little stand of bushes and trees, it is a small orchard. The grapes come out here, and it is dry, and it is so hard to keep this stuff watered. The little butterfly bushes over here, and there's a lot of agave in my yard. Obviously, you guys have know of my agave struggles. So I think we could also use these in the orchard as well, around the base of them, to kind of keep them more hydrated as well. So I just wanted you to know that when you go to buy the cheesecloth, you might find it really entertaining. And look at this, like, let me fold this. I'm trying to keep it kind of organized, but here is my, it's kind of a messy bin. And I feel like that's 10 yards, you know. Oh, it snags easy too. Oh, and then the porousness of this one. So I got grade 40 or 50, I can't remember. It's pretty porous. It's pretty porous. So I'm kind of rethinking my whole idea on it being something that breaks down quickly, because I feel like the outer cheesecloth isn't going to break down as slow as the guts of these things. So I think, what if you just went whole hog and you just used scrap fabric to make them? You know? I'm going to dim it a little bit. What is that line? That looks terrible. I'm always trying to get this to look okay. It just doesn't. Do you see the line? Is that because I use a fluorescent light? I'm just curious. Oh yeah, I see it on YouTube too. Wow. I wonder if my light's starting to fail. All right. So this is a pattern that when they printed it, they forgot all of the markings. This was the utility jacket. Hugely disappointing. No, I don't think so, Carrie. Oh, wow, Penny. Yeah, see, okay, see. This actually is something I wanted to touch on because I think like the alternatives to making something like this are buying things that are trash. They end up being trash. And so one of my pet peeves in a garden, and I've had to deal with this at several houses, is when people use that fabric that's a weed mat and they lay it down. They call it, I think they call it something cloth. They lay it down and then they put mulch on top, right? And they cut holes in it around your plants. And it's like black usually. The thing is, I know that people are well-meaning using this, and I'm sure most of us here have probably used it at some point in our gardening lives. But if you ever inherit a yard that stuff wasn't maintained, it ends up being something that you can't even pull it apart from all the weeds that have grown through it, because eventually if someone's not maintaining their yard, and then like, you know, little bits of dirt kind of land inside your bark or your whatever you've put on top of the weed mat, and things sprout in that, and then you get grass, and then you get Bermuda grass or something that kind of penetrates this weed barrier. And when you go to rip all that out, you can't compost it, and you can't do anything with it except throw it in the landfill. And so all you've done is contributed to that, right? Hi, Angela, how's it going? Landscape cloth, thank you. Yeah, so, and like, yeah, see, Terry, like, I feel like when you have something like, okay, these things failed, I'm going to use this as a weed mat, like, that's great, right? Otherwise, it's just going to go right into the landfill. And I don't know, I just think, like, like, I've always kind of worried about this stuff. Yeah, right, Penny, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably really great for the plant, though. So yeah, look, you guys, I've done plenty of things that I kind of am like, oh wow, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Now I understand it better. I am not here judging at all. I am really just trying to figure out what's an easy solution for all of us to do if you're interested, okay? So please don't take anything I'm saying as judgment, because I've made some definite choices where I was like, wow, you know, I probably could have done better there, but I didn't know what was going to happen. We're learning. We're all learning. And this is something I can do. So, okay, so I think, like, do I want a whole, like, I could do this a whole continuous piece, right? Do I think that would be easier? Well, now I know that this is big enough. I actually probably could do that. Originally I was thinking I would just make a pattern piece that's this, you know, and then just sew them together. Because you could even sew them together and that would be your stitched down seam. Ooh, I like the idea of that. Yeah, so do I want a piece that, or do I want this to be like this, where do I want it to be like this and then I stitch it down in each section? And you know, I thought about even the thread I'm using. I'm using cotton wrapped polyester thread. My thread's not even technically biodegradable, but I think that when it gets to a stage where it's starting to deteriorate, I can probably keep it going for a really long time and throw the thread away. Like, as it is the last thing left, I can throw that away. Okay, so do I want it to be like this, or do I want it to be, you know, a bunch of pattern pieces like this that I sew together? What do we think? These seams would be 4 layers of fabric and be longer to deteriorate. So maybe that would be a good thing. And since I'm realizing my fabric's going to outlast my cheesecloth, I don't really want this to start, I don't want it to deteriorate and all my fabric start escaping and then it blowing around the yard. We're talking years from now. I really think this thing's going to last a long time. So yeah, I guess I could do experiments. But I think you could even make, like, what if you even just made narrow little strips, like 8 inches wide, and you could put this in your garden, then you could kind of like bend it around and put it around your plants. Ooh, Malin, because heavy. Well, I think for the stuffing, so you guys are thinking of this as separate pieces. I still want to sew them into a circle. And I was thinking, Kathleen, that I would stuff it from the interior like this. I would leave this edge open here. Same with here. I would leave this edge open. I would stitch all these pockets, leave this edge open, stuff them, and then just edge stitch it shut. We're not entering this in the fair, right? It doesn't have to look good. I think it's going to be hard, Terry. I think it's going to be a pain in the butt. In fact, my first instinct was I wish I had my binding machine. But then I was like, that kind of defeats the purpose. You're binding the edges. That's a lot of fabric. That would never break down. I think your jeans are going to break down faster than your weed mat. I really do. But if I do this, I'd be creating the pockets at the same time. And I think this would be easier to manage at the machine. I think this would be easier to manage at the machine, and I think that that's what we're going for. Oh, you think one piece would be easier? This is so interesting. So I'm picturing myself sitting at my machine, and I have this cheesecloth, because you guys, this stuff is like wrestling a ferret. A ferret that is the weight of a feather. So it's just like, it's almost like, have you ever accidentally put dish soap in the dishwasher? I had a roommate do that once. Don't ever do it. Our dishwasher was just like pouring out bubbles for like 2 hours. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is what I think. I think when we're sewing this, like here's the selvage. The selvage is really nice. So if you wanted to, you know, make these the width of your cheesecloth, I think what you could do is you could literally maybe just sew it in a long tube, you know, and then you could have a really wide one or even cut it down the middle or something. There's the quilter, I know. Kathleen with the starch. I don't have starch. Oh, interesting, Hannah. How long did it take? I think I'm fishing with the fabric with separate pieces. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. How does the curved edge hold up on cheesecloth? Well, I don't know. And I think Carrie, that's what I would grab this for. What I was thinking that what if this seam around this wasn't a seam I sewed, you know, right sides together and turned. What if I hemmed it and stitched it down? I love the hive mind. This is so interesting. 36 viewers. 38. I usually, when I post my, this is what I'm sewing this week on Instagram, I get like 6 likes. I look at that because I kind of gauge interest, right? I know I'm not doing reels, so, you know. But for this week, for the first time in a long time, I got like 8 comments, 6 comments. I never get comments on that post. So I thought this would be a really high viewer thing. I was a little nervous. And it's lower than usual. This is so interesting. Yeah. Biggest possible, minimizing seaming. Oh, see, that makes so much sense too, Libby. So, you know, what I really wish I had still was this roll of tissue paper that I gave away to someone because I think that I would probably pin this to tissue paper and then sew it and then just rip the tissue paper off. But then again, if you really wanted to think about this environmentally, that is such a terrible waste of tissue paper. Tubes could be overlaid around the plant. Well, I think, Kathleen, I think that's a really good idea because I think you could, if you just wanted to, like, what if you just, okay, what if, let's think about this long term. What if all of us right now, we have that bin of scraps under our table that we're saving for those dog beds we plan to make, right? What if instead you had these little cheesecloth sections and you were just stuffing those and then shutting them as you got them, and then eventually you sewed them together. Yeah, Malin, I agree. Then you could even do it this way. You could even go like this. Oh, here we go. You could even take these and sew them like this, right? Like you could even, you know? Yes, Hannah, exactly, like the beekeeper's quilt, exactly. Yeah. Then it's always in process, exactly. And then when you have a few, you sew them together and you lay it out in the yard, right? I really do like the idea of these being like, you know, just having narrow little things. Hi, Elena, how's it going? And you can just kind of toss them out there where you want to cover wheat, you know, tamp down on the weeds. You can always put something, what if you even decide, I'm going to do this all the time, and you could sew them in fabric if you really wanted to. You could even make them in a pretty fabric, you know? Yeah, I think so too. Okay, let's try both. Ooh. All right, so let's do a little bit of math here. If I want this thing to be about 44 inches across, and I want this inner part here. So I want this let's see, I think I want this hole to be about, let's say 12 inches, maybe even 10. Like your plant could be, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, it depends on the, like I have trees that are this big around. Like my orchard trees are pretty small. And my husband was like, you can make one for the pomegranate tree. Yeah, oh, newsprint, yeah. Yeah, Betsy, right? I think this could be a great gift for gardeners in our lives. They're like, did you just give me your trash? No, I just saved you hours of weeding. All right, so if I want this to be about 12 inches across. All right, I just wanted to do my regular caveat that I'm very good at math, but I can't do it in front of people. So where's my cheat sheet? I have this cheat sheet that I have had for so dang long. Look at it's even on an oil lily postcard. It's so faded. It's been pinned up at so many places that my X and Y axis is even faded. This is my cheat sheet. Okay, so let's get the old calculator out. And let me think about this. So 44 minus 12 equals 32 divided by 2. We have these right here are going to be 16 inches deep. And to draw this circle here, all I really need to know is drawing this circle here, and I just need to know this diameter, basically. I don't even need to do this whole pi r squared junk. I don't even need to get my cheat sheet out. I can handle this. I can handle this. Oh yeah, from PDF patterns. And yeah, all these things here. Yeah, you could mix paper with your cloth. You could. That might even lighten it up. Look at us solving the world's issues. I'm just teasing. Okay, I'm going to get a piece of paper here. Okay, so this one of the other things I thought about is that think I'm going to take a lot of my scraps and I'm going to use my old rotary blades. And I think some of these that are kind of big, I'm going to break them up like this with my old blades. Then you have a use for your old blades too. Really get as much use as possible out. I have two separate bins right now for that. Fingers! Okay, so I just need I was going to do the whole complicated thing when I was going to kind of draft this a different way, but I'm going to do this in a highly logical, simple way so that anyone can do this if they want. So we're going to make a 22-inch compass. And we're going to make this a quarter fold. Let's put this right here. And benefits of using my cutting mat is I push pin right into it. I would use a stiffer piece of paper too. Maybe I should put it all on camera, huh? I just don't like the angle here. Why so much stuff over here? Yeah, right, Kathleen? I know, I have so many of them. All right, so I'm going to put my compass and I'm just gonna pin it to the table, right on the fold. I don't care how accurate I am. We are not doing rocket science today. And then we're gonna weight this down a little bit. I did a nice big hole in my compass. All right, and so from here, I'm going to draw a right angle. Now, if you want to make a Christmas tree skirt, this would be a good way to do it. All right, and then we want the inner diameter, what is it, 12 inches? So we just need this to be 6 inches. So let's use the end with a hole already. And yikes. This is why you want to use stiffer paper. Okay. Cheapest pattern in the biz. All right, and so now we have a quarter of our mulch quilt. Oh, nice, Carrie. Shredded documents. There you go. The students at FFT compost their cotton muslin and use it in growing. That is so cool. Okay, so I've composted all kinds of weird things. And it's so funny because I think we were just talking the other day about that. Is he Australian or New Zealand? From Australia or New Zealand? He has, it's kind of, the name of his channel is kind of simple. I don't know, it's like, he's a gardener. And he has that video on the things he's composted, you know, like a whole dead chicken. I've done that. I was like, oh, I've done this before. All right, so we could be, you know, scientific if we want about this, but let's just measure our circle here. And it's about 9.5. And I think we would want each pillow to be, what do you think, like that? Let's see. I'm going to say, what's 2/3 of 9.5? I knew that. Don't you love it when you do something and you're like, why did I even do that? All right, and then let's measure this perimeter here. 18. Plus 16 and 5/8. Whoops. 18 plus 16 and 5/8 times 23. What was that guy? One of you knew exactly who I was talking about. I feel like his YouTube name is so simple, but it's really easy for me to forget it. Yeah, I wish our compost pile was healthy. All right, there's my pattern piece. So here's my pattern piece, but I could just trace this off and use this as my bigger one, right? Because I could fold my cheesecloth in quarters and then I'd have this piece here. So let's trim off this. Let's add a little seam allowance, shall we? Seam allowance, what's that? So I like the idea of doing like a tube, what if you had a long tube, not too long, and you just had it sitting next to your machine and you drop scraps in there, and once it got filled to like 8 inches, you sew across it and then drop some more in, and then 8 inches, sew across it, right? You know, you wouldn't want something really big at your table, maybe like a yard long. Yeah. Hi, Danny. How's it going? So why did I remind you to update your project tracker? That's so funny. That's awesome. Carrie, what were you just making? You weren't making Winslow's, were you? Yeah, that you were. They turned out really cute, by the way. What fabric did you use? Was that like a because that was a really big print. I thought it was really cute. Oh yeah, Helen's Closet's having a 5-year anniversary sale. All right, so let's trace off this piece. Let's see. We'll use this piece of paper I just cut. I think it'll be big enough. There we go. I can't wait to see this thing in the yard. I tell you, one day I'm going to do a video and it's going to be called Sewing Solutions for Everything. Because I tell you, I have some weird things I've used sewing for and I own all of them. You know, like I'm down for them. See you, Lynn. I'll be, I think I'm going to cut these out soon, and then I'll be starting sewing tomorrow, so it should be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to make this last for 3 streams, but we'll see. Oops. Maybe I don't want seam allowance here, to be honest. since this is only on the quarter. All right. I do want it about here. So we'll add it to this piece because this one does have seams. So I'm just going to build it on. Well, no, I'll draw it on here. Don't have to be perfect with your pattern drafting. It's great. You know? It's going to decompose in your yard. We're putting more effort into this than, you know. Hi, Nancy. Yeah, I think a lot of folks start quilting to use a lot of scraps that were garment sewists, and then they end up with more fabric than they started with. Because I look at mine and I'm like, I'm going to save that for a quilt. I'm going to save that for a quilt. And then I just, where would I put said quilt, you know? I know, Kathleen, you make a lot of quilts for cat shelters, right? I love that. I love that idea. All right, so here's my section. So we'll make these little mulch pillows, right? And what I'm thinking is, that we sew two of these essentially wrong sides together, just so you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about, right? And then we stitch it along this seam line and leave the raw edge hanging out. We can, wait, oh, actually, right sides together, sew along this edge here. Turn it. Wrong sides together, just stitch across the seam line here, fill it, edge stitch it shut, and then you have these seams ready to sew to the next one. So yeah, you'd have a raw edge on one side, but who cares? Yeah, it looked, I love the changes you made, Carrie. It looked good. Yeah, and then you start buying, yeah, buying quilt fabric, Nancy, exactly. Hi, Beverly, welcome back. Thanks. Thank you, Beverly. How was your trip? Your pseudo camping. That's awesome. See, we're all still here. See, people who are worried about leaving, I'm just like, everyone's still here. You know? Okay, so if I want to use this one to make my full circle, I think what I would probably do is fold my cheesecloth so that it's folded here and here. Cut it, and then I don't actually think you need a space between your two pieces, like where it meets, right here. I don't think you need this space. So that's okay. I'm really scared to cut this stuff. I think it's gonna be a little bit to wrestle. Clean up the space here. This is my somewhat better blade. This is my not better blade. I have a whole container though of old blades that I could use and not use my good blade to cut this stuff up, you know. The cheesecloth though, I feel like you might want a somewhat decent blade, but we're gonna see. Because with my rotary mat, it is smoother than some I've had that are like this, but I feel like the cheesecloth is gonna stick in the, oh, I have an idea. I know this. I'm gonna put a piece of paper down. I gotta pick up my patterns from the local printer. I have a ton of them there. All right, I'm gonna lay this on my table. And then this is gonna help when I cut out the cheesecloth. It won't snag as bad and get stuck to my table. Can you even see what I'm doing? So let's see. So like I said, this was a 10-yard piece. I'll link this one that I bought in the description. I have the Amazon affiliate thingy, but you can just look at it and then see and kind of gauge, because I got kind of lost looking and buying at Cheesecloth myself. But at least you could look and see what this one looks like, and you know how it acted when I did it, to know which direction you want to go if you buy some cheesecloth. I also think if you got really, really cheap muslin, or better yet, what if you used your scraps to make these pillows? Why not? You could even make like rainbow ones. You can make them look kind of cool in your yard. I know that'd be kind of weird. Or what if you made like ones to match the color of your soil, or you could make them to match like maybe green or something like that. I feel like I'm getting kookier and kookier. And I just don't care. All right. I'm not gonna spend my lifetime straightening this fabric out. So let's see here. Look at all my Streamlabs things. That's a lot of them. Let's see. See, that just got stuck on my finger. I wanna see, does my pattern make it across? That's another thing, you could engineer this to fit your fabric really well. Yeah, dressing the garden. I was thinking about like specific fabrics I've had that look like succulents. I thought that'd be really funny. Imagine being that lady, you know, the lady everyone's just like, she's got like fabric that looks like real plants. Oh my God, this is kind of maddening. Oh. Oi, oi, see, look. It's stuck on my ruler. All right, we're just gonna go for it. I know you expect nothing less from me. See, it won't fit going this way. I really want it to fit this way. This is folded, this is selvage. It does fit this way. I just need to smooth it out a little bit. Boy. Don't you guys dare iron your cheesecloth. I'll feel like such a bad sewist. All right. Cookie is fun. Ground cover printed fabric, right? I love it. Imagine that you design fabric and have it printed somewhere that looks like your ground. You could even have pictures of like, you could even take a photo. How to be so environmental, you're not very environmentally good. This is not the good one, I can feel it. And we can put our cheesecloth inside our scrap bin. I'm kind of liking the idea though of using scrap fabric to make these rather than cheesecloth. The more I think about this and think through the details, you know. Oh, cotton bubble gauze. Yeah, $5 a yard is expensive. This was like $1.20 a yard. That's also why I went the cheesecloth route. I should mention that. Very affordable. Yeah, if anyone wants to go on like a 70-yard box, I'll do that with you, but you have to cut it in half. It's still sticking a little bit to my table, but not nearly as bad. All right, so I'm gonna fold these. Oh my God, you guys, this is gonna be a pain in the butt. I'm gonna fold these in individuals so that I know that they're individuals. So we know that we need 6 of these to make 1 Christmas tree skirt. And look, now I have another pattern piece. I need a bin. Let's get one over here. Look how cute it is. I'll just put him in there like that. Yeah, right, Libby? Cotton net, interesting. I didn't even think about trying Dharma. And I was just on their site looking at dyes. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. But you know, you could get $1 a yard muslin from Joann Fabrics. I think that would be a good place to start too. See, I think by getting cheesecloth, in some ways I overthought this, and that's kind of typically what happens, right? You kind of over-engineer the solution. So let's see, I'm getting about 4 of these for every 23 inches, which is less than 3/4 of a yard. So 23 to 36 is 13. So you're actually getting 5 of these per yard. 5 of these per yard. So when you think about it costing $5 for a yard, 5 of these per yard if you get 2 yards, because that means that like the last one is, you know, it's a half a one. So, but I have like 4 layers, and that's why technically surface area wise I'm getting 5. But you'd have to cut them out amongst 2 yards, and then you'd have 10. If you need me to explain that better, I can. That's the kind of math I can kind of do really quick. I'm always figuring out yardages because I find that to be really important. Oh, interesting. Really, Nancy? Do you have a Joann's local to you? What is the muslin? Okay, so I say $1 a yard, but that's like you use your 40% off coupon, and then you'll get, it's 36 inches wide too. So you can get lots of different styles and grades of muslin. You have to use the 40% off coupon. I'm sorry, I should have said that. I haven't shopped there in a while. I don't actually get that coupon anymore. And then I just buy a bolt. So I'd get like 15 yards for something like $8 or something. Maybe it was like, oh no, 15 yards. Sorry, that's something else. I have all these numbers still stuck in my head. 15 yards, and it would be about $16 or something like that. Okay, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8. And I need how many to make? I need 6. So I'll make 2 of these. Right, Carrie? Me either. Yeah, I've shopped at them at like probably 5 times since I've lived here. Yeah, I think so, Nancy. I think, yeah, they probably don't ship it because people buy it in large quantities. And they don't want to offer free shipping on something that's heavy. I don't know, though. What about Waywack? Do they have deals on it? I will tell you, like, buying it in the industry, it's expensive. It's $3.50 a yard minimum. And the grade is so high quality that you don't want to use it for muslin. That sounds like a good thing, but honestly, I'm just like, this is something we're probably gonna throw away. I'm thinking of doing these from scrap fabric. I think that's the play I'm going for. Not buying anything to make these seems like my ideal. I think it just depends on, you know, how big my scraps are. You could even piece them together, though. You could have mini mulch quilted mulch quilts. Patchwork mulch quilts. That's what I want to say. Okay, so 2 more, and then I'll have 2 of these. Yeah, right, Nancy, I know what you mean. I was kind of out of the habit before the pandemic. I would go to my local fabric store just so I don't have to ship things. 48 inches, but it's over $3. Okay. This is folded funny down here. I think I've got this a little cockeyed. Oh yeah, look at that. Now that I have all this cheesecloth, I'm definitely going to be using it up for this, you know. I tried to buy this from independent people, and it was a little hard because they only had the 70-yard and 125-yard pieces, and it was always that kind of higher quality. Oh, this is the other one thing I wanted to note, that I got unbleached. I didn't get bleached. That was the other constraint that made it a little bit harder to find what I was looking for, because I wanted unbleached grade 40, and I could only find it in 70-yard pieces. So then I found this 10-yard piece, and that's what I got. It might be grade 50, though. That's what I think. I think this one's grade 50. I don't know the difference, to be honest. So. Oh, nice, Penny. Wow. That's like the... Penny, I love this. This is like the opposite of neighbors asking us to sew for them. You're like, can you print my patterns out for me? I love it. Oh, well, you could use your chiffon for these. I think that would work. It's probably polyester. Yeah, thrifted fabric. Yeah, that is indeed the hookup. I love that. And I love that they're probably like, gosh, everybody wants to use me for my large format printer. I really want to sew one of these today. You know? I'm telling you, putting it on the paper is key to cutting this out, though. Can you see how wrinkly it is? Probably, huh? So I wonder if sewing this on my machine, I think like my feed dogs are going to give me a heck of a time with this stuff. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. I probably didn't need to cut that last one. This is one mulch mat. 1, 2. Okay, so if I cut 2 more times, I'll have 2 whole mulch mats. That's it, all right. I must have counted that wrong. Did I count that wrong? That's really cool, Penny. Nothing on Nextdoor has been good, in my opinion. I hate that app. You know, my problem with the Nextdoor app, I signed up because of the, like, just living rurally and lost animals, fire, power outages, whatever, you know. And my problem is that for some reason our valley is lumped in with this neighborhood that's 20 minutes away. And this neighborhood is so annoying. They are constantly complaining, and they would get into these major political arguments. I'm like, I didn't think that this app was for that. Why aren't these people on Facebook? That's fine if you want to do that. But here, I just want to talk about lost pets, or, hey, we have this prickly pear. Would you like some? And we actually did get rid of a lot of our prickly pear to someone who makes wine with it. Or, you know, like, oh, I have a swarm of bees. Is there any beekeepers in the area? Like that. I want that kind of thing. But no, they were like, look at how terrible this mail person delivered my package. And then, you know, they're showing footage from their Ring doorbell or whatever. And it's like, okay, I understand that, but you're just complaining. You're not doing anything about it. Talk to the U.S. Postal Service. All right, that's my last rant about them. I was just really disappointed. Okay. Here's one more. These seem so easy. I feel like it's going to be really hard to sew, and I don't have enough scraps, but we'll see. All right, so I got through a fair bit of my cheesecloth. I'll show you how much I have left when I cut this last pair. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think cheesecloth, or do you think like fabric? What are your guys' thoughts now on this project? I'm curious. Yeah, right, Melanie, I know. I was like, yeah, go ahead. Argue about that somewhere else. Oops. Kind of staggering these. This is not folded very well. I might fall short here. I think this is not the project. This is not the fabric for a perfectionist. It would probably drive you a little bit bonkers to try and, oh yeah, look, it's just like gonna fall short. I have to like pull it in here. Yeah, exactly, Angela. That's how I feel about Instagram Reels. I'm like, that's really cute, but I got nothing out of that. Whereas a post, I usually got something out of a post. You know, it was informative. Yeah, Malin, I think, yeah, totally fabric. I agree. I think that that would be the way to go. Like I sort of came at this I think because I came at this project originally from the idea of, well, I don't want these sitting around in my yard for too long. People are going to like look at that and think it looks ugly, you know, and I didn't want it to look ugly. And then so I wanted, and I also was thinking, oh, if you watered it, use sprinklers or whatever, you would want the water to permeate it. The more I think about this, we use drip irrigation for all of our plants around the perimeter of our front yard. So if I'm using drip, I don't have to worry about the porousness of the fabric. And it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth ordering, you know, essentially virgin fabric to make this. Betsy. Exactly. So if I could use pieced together fabric, I think that would be better. Remember Melinda? Do you guys remember Melinda? We haven't seen her for a bit. Remember her amazing Christmas tree skirt? I feel like I need to make a Christmas tree skirt. That's what I'm thinking about right now. All right. Here's a lot of my scraps. Some of these are usable. Let's put these aside. Okay. Or you can put them in your mulch mat. Oh my gosh, my sister and I am not going to tell you what the thing is because I don't want it to start a big thing here. So now I need to start making teas. Here's what I have left from that one package. So I feel like I have about a yard and a half, maybe a little more. So my sister and I have been watching. Okay, so it's 62 inches is what I have left. And I'm going to be able to make 2 mulch mats, 44 inches in circumference, or yeah. Not 44 inches in diameter, sorry. I was like, that's wrong. What am I saying wrong? Yeah, so my sister and I have been watching. So this company recently posted something. And when my sister was like, oh my gosh, check this out. And it's something that both of us, I just don't want to give it away because it's just, I'm just going to say we have been watching this scenario unfold, and this company made a really bad mistake with how they approached making this announcement. They made this announcement and we were like, whoa, you might want to rethink how you worded that. And we've been watching this whole drama unfold. And I told my sister, I was like, I feel like I'm less of a person now because I am actually watching this drama like it's reality TV. It was really hard to look away. It was like a car accident. And they didn't reply to all the negative comments, thousands negative comments, didn't reply to them. They only replied to the positive ones. And we were like, oh my gosh, why are they doing this? Why? This is so sad. This is the end of them. This is a company that has 237,000 followers. They're going to be fine. But they finally posted an apology. And even the apology, I was like, oh my God, who is their advisor? I don't know. So yeah, I can see that, Nancy. I can totally see Nancy watching some of that unfold, but I couldn't do it. I was just like, no, this is so, this is why I left Facebook, you know, so. Me too, Carrie. I missed Instagram with just photos, and I missed when they were in chronological order. All right, so here is my bin. Look at this, bin of mayhem. I feel like this is a bin of mayhem. Let's see what it's going to look like. I'm going to pretend to stuff one. I want to see what it's going to look like in my yard. I'm so eager. Let's get a few things out here. Look at, here's a muslin prototype of shorts. See, I could probably make one of these wedges with this. So maybe I will go through and save some of the things that I think are larger. Like this right here, I don't think I'd put this in because it's synthetic, but now I'm kind of like, do I? Maybe I do, you know. Yeah, Melinda is so talented. I just love her creativity and the way, what inspires her. So this is, God, do I think I can hold it? I don't know. This feels like a kind of a nutty project. And I think it's going to be, look at this. I can't even tell. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't even tell. Oh my God, this is a nightmare. Oof, I don't know. This stuff is so wrinkled, it's losing its shape. You guys, this is going to be a nightmare. Okay, let's decide that cheesecloth might not be the way to go. I can't even tell what this is. What in the actual... I think that this is the top. No, this must be... Oh my God, you guys. Holy moly. What have I done? Let's worry about this tomorrow. Oh, right, Carrie? Yeah, I was kind of hooked into that one too a little bit. Will animals shred the cheesecloth? That's a good question, Danny. We have quite a few of those. I wonder if what would bug them about it. Like my chickens for sure. I don't have chickens. Switch, you think? Switch to a different fabric right now? I mean, I do have some big pieces in here. I have this old body pillow that I made Cricket when she was about 6 years old, and I just made her a new one. So it's inside out. It's green on one side. I'm regretting the cheesecloth. I am regretting the cheesecloth. I think Melinda's right. I should just take up cheese making instead. Yeah, right, Carrie? Exactly. I know that whole thing is terrible. Yeah, so in case you guys don't know, Blizzard's this gaming company, and oi, they've, yeah, they haven't treated people very well, especially women. And it's all coming out. I'm sure everybody's known about it, but people are finally able to get some traction on it. Let's see, what else we got in here lurking? This makes me want to go through my stash and sew some stuff up into these pillows. I like that idea, Betsy, but I feel like it's kind of obvious how they're going to wear. You know, I feel like the fabric. Yeah, right, Carrie? It's a nope. So you just never know when your idea is really foolish sometimes until you see it through. For spooky Halloween curtains, Kathleen, you were my only friend and you moved away. Who is visiting me to see my spooky curtains? And I actually do have spooky stuff like that from in my Halloween stuff. You guys. Okay, well, what if I used these? Oh, I'm scared to even open this thing up. What if okay, I have to be really careful. What if like this one is, it's okay, right? Look at that. What if I doubled them? You know? I can send you pictures. I will totally send you pictures. I had something to tell you the other day. What was it? Forgot. Huh. I'm scared to fiddle with these too much because maybe the perfectionist would do better on this project because they did iron their cheesecloth. So maybe Maybe the starch would be a good idea. I don't, and how is starch for the plants? This is so interesting. Look down here. Oh my gosh, look at this. There's a whole sweater in here. Gosh, I loved this pattern, but it was drafted pretty badly. And I had, when I moved here, I didn't realize there were moths in this area, wool moths. And so look, it's coming undone. I was gonna unknit this whole thing and fix it, but look, the sleeve completely started coming undone. It was kind of a thing. This was on the cover of the Coastal Knits book, and I'm sorry that I just totally said how badly it was drafted, but it was. This designer has a habit of making things for people with shoulders like half the width of mine, and this bicep was just so small. But I sure loved the way it looked. It's gonna be a cat bed. Or a dog bed, I mean, not a cat bed. It's a nightmare. Cheesecloth on bottom, fabric on top. Ooh. Potato or cornstarch. This is starting to sound like too much effort. All right, Betsy, sleep well. Good luck packing. Okay, so Danny, cheesecloth on bottom, fabric on top. What were we just talking about a little bit ago? And I pictured that. I don't know why I pictured that. Maybe you thought she would be better for letting the water get through. I did, Libby. I did. Yeah, but I'm thinking that, and I also wanted something inexpensive, and that would break down. I have scrap fabric I use for prototypes. Maybe it is time to just go through my bin and start cutting these up into fabric ones. I think that's what we're going to learn here. We've learned something. Let's, I was going to rip this, but I feel like this fabric could be too fragile at this point. My daughter was like, Mom, I just have one thing to ask, a favor. Before I move, will you make me a new body pillow cover? I was like, I will make you a new body pillow cover. This thing is so old. I didn't even know she was still using it. I'm gonna cut off the seam here. Should I? Yeah, I could just try to sew one of those. Let's give myself a few things. I could launder, yeah, I could launder. Okay, but you guys, we want this to be something that is really easy to do so that we're motivated to do it, right? Like we want to be sitting at our sewing machine not feeling, or at our cutting table not feeling bad about throwing fabrics in the bin. Okay. She wanted a rainforest bedroom, so, and we moved before we ever did it. But this was one of the things I made. It was all these birds. Isn't that cute, Carrie? Look at all those birds. This fabric's actually in really good shape. I might save that. There we go. Do you love it when that happens? This stuff was hideous from the get-go. Adina! How's it going? Nice to see you. You came for a really funky project today. Where's my pattern? Where's my pattern? This will work. This is the first one I cut. So I think I could get more out of this if maybe I cut two that I seam together. Burbs! Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Glenn. I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to because of my feed dogs. They're just not gonna play nice with the cheesecloth. All right, so if I get that one there, could I get one here? I could. Okay. So let's line this one up over here. This one's easier. It's not as wrinkled. This fabric is ugh. Funky is good. All right, so this one. So this way I can get 3 of these out of this. Okay, so let's add a little seam allowance at this end. Or actually, we don't really need it at this end, we need it at the other end. Okay. Okay. This blade's doing pretty good. This is the one that has a catch in it though. I can feel it. All right, so these get seamed together. Get one more here. Oof. It's just not the same size, but maybe I can get it in there. It's close. It's very close. Okay, now we have 1.5 down. 1.5 of these pockets down. We just need 5.5 more to go. More fabric for our things though. This one needs a mate. I mean, this, honestly, this could be pretty good in the yard, right? The green. It's not gonna, that's gonna fade. You know, it's so weird. I picture the cheesecloth lasting, for the most part, maybe a year at the most. This stuff I feel like it would last a bit longer. What do I have in here? I told myself too that I wanted to keep my eye open for anything that could be used for interfacing, you know? Oh, there we go. That's one probably. This is when we did all the blocks. Well, maybe I'll go through my bin and try and identify some more. Oh, this feels like a big, oh no, it's not a big piece of fabric. What's in here? Oh, here's a big piece. Okay. What am I making? Okay, so Adina, I have this idea for making mulch mats. So with my fabric scraps, I'm making essentially like quilts filled with my fabric scraps for the garden to kind of help retain moisture in the plants and keep weeds down. That's all. That's what I'm doing. This piece of fabric is on the fold. Could we make that work? Hey Dar, how's it going? Good to see you, good to see you. We can make that work. All right, so now this guy has a buddy. No, this one. Oh yeah, this one's, I gotta, so that's why it's 2, okay. All right. And I was starting with cheesecloth, Adina, and I cut them out, but the cheesecloth is going to, I'm kind of pretty sure it's going to kick my butt. All right, this is an old laundry basket prototype. My problem with this laundry basket pattern is how much fabric it takes for a prototype. Like I'm like, ooh, I don't really want to go through all my fabric, you know. We'll just utilize these seams that are in this. Let's get this to lay flat. I'm just going through my scrap bin now and trying to find things that will work for making these rather than the cheesecloth. Ooh, that was a little too far. There we go. Oh, it's bad, huh? Okay, I can get... Do you have a power outage today, Adina? We were supposed to, but ours got canceled. Am I taking this too far? Asking, maybe I don't want to know the answer to that question, you know? And now we have smaller scraps for our mulch mat. It was all part of the plan anyway, right? So I just need to fix these. I hope that's good, Heidi. Oh wow, that much storm, Carrie. Oh, you don't have PG&E. I have so many feelings about that. I had another piece of fabric I was going to use. What was it? Why was I thinking I had another piece of fabric? Oh, it was these shorts. That's what it was. It was these. Okay. We're going to try and make these shorts into one of these. I don't know. That might be a stretch. What if I just sewed the legs shut and stuffed them full of and stuffed it with, you know, and then it would be like a little stuffed pair of shorts out there as a weed mat. Oh my gosh, now we're getting a little over the top. You need something better than mulch around your banana trees. Do you get bananas on your tree? I think we have banana tree, but it doesn't look so good. Yeah, I can, Terry. Last year, I remember us going, oh, wow, we just spent $200 in groceries, and now there's a power outage the next day, you know? And we have a generator, but it's only, we had a generator, and it was only for our well, and then we got kind of crafty, and we were able to use an extension cord to it, to our fridge. This took us like 3 power outages to figure out, because you have to like have the right amount of juice, right? And we don't want to tax the generator because we really need it for the well. And we would turn it on when we would use the well. We also, it broke our fridge last year. Our fridge hasn't made ice since the second power outage. It shorted something. Yes, Adina, they are, but I feel like my train of thought in this, like, it has been evolving. Because I'm thinking that I wanted these to break down. I wanted them to mulch. I wanted them to compost. And now I don't want them to compost as fast as I did originally. I actually want them to stick around and act as mulch in my garden to keep the weeds down and the water in there. I'm asking for a friend, yeah. So, yeah, gosh, Elena, that's a bummer. So we got a bigger generator this year. We looked at like power walls, like the Tesla power walls and battery backups and things like that. And they're actually not a good choice in a lot of cases. So we ended up doing the generator. And we have solar as well. But the weird thing, the oxymoronic thing about solar is that we generate enough power for our house plus. But that power does not stay powering our house. It goes to the grid. And then we're still getting electricity from the grid. There's still this transport of electricity happening. The transport of electricity is the cause of so many fires here because of the breakdown in the equipment. And so it's just crazy. I wish that, I know nothing about this stuff, but I've thought about it. Wouldn't it be interesting if you had smaller grids, smaller like neighborhood size grids where the power was kind of there? I don't know. I don't really need to get into this kind of thinking, but it does seem like such a waste. Like, we're generating all this electricity, it goes off to this grid so far away, and then we're buying electricity. And so when our power goes out, our panels do not support our house. So, yeah, we have a zero electricity bill. We will get a refund and all that. There is a true up. Solar's kind of complicated, but that is such a weird oxymoronic thing. Yeah, right, Adina, yeah. Yeah. You're not SCE. Anyway, okay, so I think I'll probably call it here. I don't know how long you really want to see me talking about excitement about fabric scraps. I'm going to go through my bin and see if I can find some more of these that I can make. What's this at the bottom? Oh, that's not as big as I thought. Okay. I'm going to have to just dump it out and go through. This right here would be good. I put this piece because it's really big. I put this in here because it's perfect for a dog bed. And I'm making one for Molly today. I'll use that. I'll use this sweater for Molly. Well, that's what the power walls essentially do. So, I don't think I can explain it very well, but yeah, that's what power walls can. They can hold enough for a few days. They're really, really expensive though. Like $30,000, $30,000 to $60,000. There's a big jump. Whereas a generator is like $15,000. It's like buying a car. Like, we bought a car for our property, you know? That's what we did when we sold our house. That's what we put the money, was getting a better generator. So, and it's a propane generator, so we had to get a propane tank, and now we have someone comes out and fills the propane tank. Well, yeah, I mean, Nancy, you're talking about Elon Musk probably, but I have some issues with him too. Oh, yeah, Keston, that is such a good point. Yeah, and also, Adina, they're very hard to come by right now. Keston, that's so interesting. Yeah, there is. I mean, when you think about how much effort goes into making this fabric and then we're just throwing away, is there anything? I don't want to sound like an old codger, but I feel like this. Oh, that's awesome, Keston. Yeah, so I'm going to use mine, and they're going to stay on my property. And I'm going to see them. They're going to be staring at me. Like this right here, I'm wondering, can I put this in there? This is a stretch poplin. And like Hannah was saying, there's that picture of those jeans going around the internet right now that is fully decomposed except for the elastine. Yeah, that's what we did, Nancy, and it worked really great. I think that's great. Ours is automatic. We'll notice a flicker. Well, how we notice when the power goes out is our toaster oven beeps. But we know when it's going to happen. They do warn us. And I know also, like my PlayStation will tell me, hey, you didn't shut me off properly, you know. All right, so this right here, this isn't natural fiber. This stuff's so weird. It's like this outdoor fabric. It's these koi fish. I got as a scrap from somewhere, like a remnant. But it is plastic. Yeah, I mean, I just think like there's only so much you can do with garbage, right? So I don't really want to be preachy about how I feel about these things, because it kind of was my focus for a long time, and I don't feel preachy about it, and I don't feel judgmental. I feel like you have the resources you have available to you. I noticed, like, coming from a community that was very resource rich in environmental activism, so there was lots of recycling opportunities, reusing. There was a couple places you could go, and like kind of like a thrift store, but more in the way of things that normally would probably go to a landfill and someone could take on themselves, and it would be dirt cheap to get it, you know? Kind of like a Habitat for Humanity depot, if you've ever seen those. And here we don't really have those resources. I've noticed that there's just not as many. The recycling is okay, but there's not a lot recyclable. And I think you got to do what's good for you. But like making toys out of cereal boxes and junk like that, like you might do that one time, but that's it. You know, you're not going to do that out of every cereal box. So I make my own cereal, but I buy my own I buy yogurt. And my husband just now is like, let's make you yogurt. Let's make you yogurt. We got the Instant Pot, so I'm going to do that. And, you know, I think about, like, making our own dog food. And at one time in my life, I was doing all that, you guys. I was making everything. And it was a lot of work. I had a business, too. It was a lot of work. We had an orchard. It was a definite, solid part-time job doing all that, making your own jam and doing all that stuff. And it's really great, and I'm very handy. But sometimes there's just not really your resources aren't available to do all those things. Some of those things cost a bit, you know, getting jars, and maybe your time is your currency. Like, that's why I say you got to do what works for you, and do it from whatever place you want to do it from. Well, your reasonings are your own. So, oh, that's so cool, Keston. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It is my own experiment. I'm excited. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, Keston, I've talked about this too, because I've been thinking about the dyes and all that too. And someone else brought it up in my Facebook page. And I love that. I really want to hear those kinds of concerns and questions, because there's probably something I haven't thought of, like how dumb the cheesecloth idea was. And the way I look at it, Keston, is that, yeah, I think you got to be worried about that. But at the same time, we wear them on our body all the time, these clothes, and we wash them and we dry them. And all that stuff, all that is shedding somewhere. I'm not saying that putting it in my garden is the best idea, but I don't have a food garden yet. I really think that the runoff of it isn't going to be any worse than what's coming out of the sky in some ways, but I could be totally talking out my ear. Like, I don't know. I really don't. I'm not an expert in this, you guys. Oh, you do make your own cereal and yogurt? Cool. Yeah, I feel really late to that. I really should get up on it. I'm just kind of nervous about it. I'm so picky about how it tastes. Yeah, the K-cups, right? I know. You can get reusable ones of those. Yeah, being more, one of the major problems about being more active environmentally is, in a lot of cases, to make your lifestyle feel seamless and to eat and drink the things that you really like, you've got to be in a somewhat privileged stratosphere to be able to afford the things to let yourself carry on life as usual by lessening your impact environmentally, right? Like, we have a super automatic espresso machine. That was our wedding gift to ourselves. So I don't go out for coffee or something, and I really like making it at home. You know, that was one thing we can do. Do I think everybody can buy a $1,000 espresso machine? No. you know? So you just got to do what you got to do. So I just really want a way to divert my scraps. Okay, cool. Thanks, Adina. I would love that. Yeah, we're going to use an Instant Pot. A lot of wood mulches are dyed. That is such a good point, Sarah. You're right. You are right. I've never used those, but I've seen they're very popular in our area. They're trying to imitate, I think, the way that redwood bark looks, which was very popular where I came from because redwood trees grew everywhere. And that was a resource. So this like using what's near you and like plentiful is so great, right? And I think I could, one of my great examples is when I had all my chicken tractors. I had 3, which a chicken tractor is a movable chicken pen. We raised meat chickens and we raised them in these movable pens. I had an acre. And the resource that we had available to us was waterproof fabric, like literally $45 a yard. Gore-Tex was something coming out all of our ears because we worked somewhere with this, and some of it came flawed, some of it came, it was extra, it would be discontinued, whatever the reason, and so, or I would buy it and I would have leftover. I used that to create roofs for our chicken tractors. It made the chicken tractor lightweight. That fabric is rated to weather some UV, and it also made them waterproof. And when I showed Joel Salatin, who kind of popularized the chicken tractor and kind of invented it in a lot of ways, he even thought that was genius. So I was like, yes, because that was one of the resources I had. Now everybody can use Gore-Tex to cover a chicken tractor. Like, how crazy is that that was our resource? But getting like corrugated panels, those were very, very expensive where we lived because everything was trucked in where we lived. If it didn't come from there, it was trucked in, and there was only 3 ways into where we lived in that region, and they in the wintertime sometimes we'd all be cut off. So getting things in there was sometimes tricky and expensive. Gasoline is so expensive there. The chicken tractor is just a movable pen, and so mine, the way I designed it, it had a peak. His are pretty ugly. They look like boxes with flat roofs. But with the amount of rain that we got, I needed a peak. And I also, with that peak, gave them an opportunity to roost in there because there was a support beam. And so the front half of it lifts up and you can reach in and get the water and the food in and out really easily. And on the back, I would set on wheels. And in the front, there was a handle, and I would lift it up and pull it one length every day onto new pasture, sometimes twice a day. Yeah, exactly, Sarah. They are. They diet. So there's so many things we're doing. I mean, come on, people use pesticides. I feel like I'm gonna take a risk and say I feel like this won't be too bad. All right, I don't want to get into trouble with all this discussion. Like, I feel like I'm gonna say something wrong. I am not an expert. I just wanted a place for my scraps. And I really want to, I mean, look at my poor, where's my mouse? I think I lost my mouse. Let's look at my little plants here. Where is that? Look at that. This is the areas where we don't have like grass and watering. Look at how dry this ground is, you know? It's a small structure. It's 10 by 10. Ours were 8 by 10. Yeah. If you want to know about that, Dadina, I can tell you so much about that. I know a lot about that. I raised hundreds and hundreds of chickens. Yeah. And I love that method. I love, and I know where you should order them too. And get the meat chickens. I always got the kind that were bred for a backyard garden, so they weren't overbred, because there's a lot of the ones you get are a little bit, they're overbred. It's a kind of a touchy topic. I never gave money to those groups. All right, I'm gonna go. Like a shed. God, do I have a picture of my chicken tractor? I do. I've shown it before. I'll look and see. I'll look real quick, see if I can find it. Because, where is it? I have to think where I put this. Sometimes I have it handy because people ask to see it. Might take me a second. Oh, maybe here. Oh, here's one. Oh, yeah, here we go, Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's Chihiro. Okay, I gotta put my, I gotta find the right. Can you guys hear me okay? You guys can't see me though. All right, so see that fabric roof there? And see, these were the little meat chickens. There's a few laying hens in here. We would like raise them all together. And then that front, this is the lid. And then you can see on this tractor with the orange roof back here, you see those wheels back there? So there was these brackets on the back, and the wheels were welded to a pole. And then we would rest the back of the tractor on that axle. This was a handle. You see this webbing right here? This is a webbing handle with buckles, because see, I know how to do that. And then you can see the roosts are in here. Chihiro loved sleeping on the tractors. They were really warm, and he loved being around the chickens. And so, yeah, you would just lift it up and then scooch one length. So they had already grazed back here. And then they were going. They don't graze much at this age. This age, they're still learning. Let me see. I think I have another one. Look at this apple juice, you guys. Oh, God. Look at me and Ira Glass. There's me and Ira Glass. Yeah. Here's my old studio, and one of my chickens is in there. All those drawers I've told you about. Remember I told you I had 80 drawers in there? There's my old industrial. Here's another one. There's when they're bigger. This one had a door out the back. This ended up being a bad idea. We never used it. It never worked. So I don't recommend doing that. Yeah. And I designed this. So this isn't how they instruct you to make them. I can't remember what I'm going for. Yeah, so, yeah, no problem, Kathleen. See you later. Right, Adina? No one walks by our house. They can't even see it. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I used to can our apple juice because we juiced about 50 gallons a year, and I would can about 23 gallons of it, 20 to 25 gallons of it, because I didn't have to then keep it refrigerated. Oh, hi, Ray. Getting ready for your son to visit? So anyway, so yeah, we're wrapping up. I don't know why. I'm just prattling on about Great Aunt Tessie's stories of my chicken tractors. I don't know. Your kiddo just left. Oh, okay. I hope it was a good time. Oh, did you listen to that book, the Pastured Poultry Profits book? You want to talk about someone who's eccentric? Joel Salatin, but I really like him. I have a picture of me with him too. He signed my book. Yeah, that fresh apple juice, nothing beats it. Yeah, so we would, you guys, I used to do all this stuff. I wish that I had blogged all this back then, because blogging was so new, but I just not one of those people that really is like, here I am doing all this stuff, you know. It probably seems like it because I have a YouTube channel, but this comes from a different place. So, yeah, so if you're going to can a lot of, or juice a lot, I'd recommend putting an outdoor burner. Someone had an outdoor burner and it was great. And we would just put the pot right there. We'd have all the jars ready. And then we would just can it outside. Keep the stickiness outside. It was great. Oh, that's so cool, Adina. It's the agricultural episode today. Oh, Omnivore's Dilemma. Omnivore's Dilemma. That is an excellent book. I love that book. Highly recommend Omnivore's Dilemma to anybody. It is such a great, even-keeled way to look at how our food affects us on so many levels. And I really like Michael Pollan, the way he approaches things. He's very smart and very measured, and he goes from one extreme to the other extreme. And he knows both extremes are really hard to do for anybody. So, all right, I gotta go. I gotta go just because I feel like I'm prattling on about nonsense. So it's not nonsense, but you know what I mean. It's not sewing related. So, okay, so tomorrow I'm gonna start sewing these. I'll have maybe more of these cut out in regular fabric rather than the cheesecloth, since that was a colossal almost fail. But we can stuff them with it, right? Yeah, Michael Pollan, yeah. Oh gosh, his books are so good. I still think about him because of when I see Wild Turkeys, I always think about him hunting the pig at the end. Oh no, Carrie. Yeah, that's such a good book, yeah. All right, well, I'll see you guys here tomorrow, maybe, and we'll try this out. I'll still try and sew the cheesecloth. I'm very curious. Maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. We'll see how to deal with it. But thanks for coming along my weird journey about these. I think these are the future of fabric scraps. But maybe that's just my opinion. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.